Welcome to this video on the Zen War channel. My name is Adisatguru, Buddha, Rawa, Bhagwan. Today's video we're going to discuss the subject of reality. So what is the reality we are living in? Okay, so a lot of people look around and maybe they're having some spiritual experiences, potentially some videos or some knowledge is coming in, and they're starting to get confused, right? So it's confusing. Well, basically one easy way to see it is that reality, okay, and existence, okay, is the interpenetration of many different stories, okay, and many of these stories are interpenetrating or coexisting, and they are basically touching each other and interacting with each other, projecting into each other, touching each other, melding into each other to create the global story, if you want to see it, of what's going on. Okay, there are many different videos of experiences of the natures of reality, and you can experience the different lokas that create reality, the 7 main lokas, and all the different stories that come together to create reality as it is. Reality is a projection, an experience that you're currently having. It's your time in the story, okay, in the master story, your time in the story. And it's for you to have a wonderful and amazing life as a being of God as your time in the story. And at the end of your time in the story, you die, right? And then you basically end up at the Vaitarani River and you select, your choice where you want to go. Are you going to go become food for Asuruk cities? Or are you going to be taking the bridge of God over the river and going to paradise, right? And you will be judged on your life to determine whether you can go to paradise. And if you cannot pass the test, you will be flung off the bridge, fall into the river, dissolved into your initial state, either go to hell or go for a rebirth, right? So this is reality. Okay, so right now it's all interpenetrating stories that are coming together and that find stability in certain areas. Okay, there's also the perception of the Kala Chakra view, where we're all moving through tunnels. Okay, and the reality, the matter is the walls of the Kala Chakra, and we tunnel within the walls, like we tunnel and mine into the earth, right, to get the stuff we need for building, right, and take from the earth and what's on the tunnels, right. So reality is very complex. Okay. Reality, trying to say what comes first and what came after, this can be done, but it's also another puzzle, right? So until you've had all the videos, all the experiences, Vishnu, you'll never know what everything that came first and after. But if you do, in the moment of enlightenment, these things can be understood, right? To different levels of ability, depending on the enlightenment. So what came first, what came after, I've discussed all this on this channel, and you can go look at previous videos to see in some of the first videos on this channel what came first, what came after, the chain of reality of events, and all these different things, right? How we all exist within a computer program, right? Within the Kala Chakra. And we are all parts of a story, a master story that is running right now. Being empowered by the active principle, which is God, that enters the story and empowers it, right? Like those Japanese anime that I love so much. They're excellent. The Japanese anime, it's amazing. It's lots of good fun. But all those ones, for example, like Overlord and other games where it's taking place within a computer program, essentially, the story, right? Within a system, right? And often the premise is that there's a player that enters the computer program, enters the game, and maybe can't get out or something like that, or basically lives their life in the game or enters it for one reason or another, and that becomes their reality. And within that game, it becomes like a fairy tale almost, with magic and all these different things. So as we know, magic exists in this world, right? And can be used to alter reality, right? And maybe it works in different ways. For example, in some animes where you're going to see a huge complex spell being built and then fireballs going or all these different things. But magic exists in this world because this world is also like an anime, right? It's also like an anime. and we're living our life. And now we have technology and all these different things. But go back a few years, when you were living in that little hut or that little village, exactly like those anime, right? And you have players coming in, people coming in, different beings, right? Different gods which are coming into the story, right? To play the story, if you want to see it that way. So it's like an anime reality, and it's bound by its rules and all these different things. And like an anime, like all these Japanese anime, there's often magic, right? And like in this world, there's also magic, right? And it's very effective in levels of different lokas, okay? Levels of existence. So in this physical world, when I cast a spell or something like that, you might not see a fireball in my hand going out, But if you were to see it in other lokas and other ways of seeing it in perceptions, you would see an astra and a terrible weapon being developed and thrown and all these different things, So it depends on your level of perception, right? Some people can perceive these things and other people cannot perceive these things, because some people perceive at the level of different lokas and some people do not have that perception, right? Depending on whether their third eye is open and all these different things, right? So a lot of different things come into place here. So magic is real, right? Magic is real, like in a fairy tale, right? Or like in an anime, right? And you can go up in levels as well, right? And you can go up in different classes as well in this world, right? You can become a great engineer, you can become a great architect, you can become not just magic and just real world, you can become a great technician, a great security officer, a great soldier, a great many different things you can become. But you can also become a great spiritual practitioner, right, which have spiritual powers, or you can become a great magician or practitioner of magic that can use magic, right? And you can go up in levels in all things, like you have like an apprenticeship in trades, and then journeymanship, and then mastery. Well, the same thing in magic, and the same thing in spirituality, and the same thing in everything, right? And basically spirituality and magic are two very, very powerful fields, because they're often the fields of the magical warriors, right? The magical practitioners. So there's different types of magic, many different types of magic. We've talked about this on this channel a lot. And they're very effective, and you can go up in level, like these anime games, these Japanese anime, they go up in levels, they reach level 100, level 200, all these different things, as a character in the anime, in the story, right? Well, in the same way, you can go up in level in that way in these trades and everything that you do in the physical world as well, including your mastery of magic, right? Or spiritual practice, right? So if you grow spiritual, you can grow to the level of a Shri, for example, or an enlightened being. And in magic, you can grow in ability as well, right? And in magic, what people are looking for is that power to empower their spells, right? So when you're an enlightened being, you empower your own spells, right? Because you have the power. But most magic practitioners go to other places or sources to empower their spells. And some beings have magic innate within them because of their bloodline, for example, or something like that, in those stories as well. So you can go up in level, right? And there's beings of magic, there's beings of power, there's beings that are like vampires, like there's Shri, there's witches, there's werewolves, there's ogres, there's all these different beings, right, that are walking around in this story. Because there's also parallel dimensions of story, right, that are interpenetrating, in which these beings are those things. Right? These humans are those things. So they have those abilities of those things magically in this world as well in some cases, right? And magic's interesting because in most cases, physically, magic is invisible. It's like it's magic, right? You can't see it, right? But in other lokas, you can actually visually see the fireballs going on the battlefield and devastating the opposing forces and all these different things, right? You can see the magic taking place. But in the physical world, in this world here, you have to use magic. You can be taught how to use magic in basic schools that have understood how to do certain principle basic things to operate the system using magical systems. but you can also have some practitioners that have inner talent and revelation in these things, including understanding through vidya of different magical systems, right? So through understanding through view of the systems and how they operate, right? And with the understanding of how the magical systems operate, you can then utilize them if you have the ability, right? And the energy to do so. So like in a video game, you can go up in level, right? And you can get spiritual items like in video games that boost your abilities and protect you and all these different things. Items like the Kura, which protect you, like in video games, you can buy an item at a magic item at a shop that, for example, boosts your magical defense. Well, you have the Kura, which boosts your magical defense, made of steel or Sarglo, pure iron, all iron. You have malas, you have different tools, you have the Kakar, the Sikh Kakar that protect the practitioner. You have all these different things, right? Like in a video game, you have all these different items that have powers and abilities and different things like that, because that's almost like what we're living in, basically, a video game, but it's our life, it's where we live, it's our world, so it's like an anime world in which we're all living, right? And we've advanced technologically to a point where we've kind of forgotten that, forgotten a lot of things that people used to know about these things, but we have texts about way back that talk about these things. We have, for example, the Kala Chakra mandala, right, which shows a perfect view of the tunnel and the cubes moving in the tunnel, right, in a perfect representation that's made its way through time in the story and all these different things, right? So, there's a lot of things that were forgotten, right, by a lot of people. And basically what we should remember is we live in the world that we make it, right? So if we want to treat our world like shit and treat ourselves like shit, sorry for the language, well, then we're going to be shit, But if we treat ourselves like we love each other and love our neighbors and respect everybody, well, then we're going to live in a world of respect and appreciation and honor and love and truth, So it depends what world we want. If we want to give ourselves a terrible world, we'll have a terrible world. And if we give ourselves a good world, we'll have a good world. So eventually it comes down to a point where, people are just going to have to man up. Women are going to have to woman up and stand up for what's right in this world, right? Thanks for listening to this video on the Zenware channel.